Welcome to the TikTok Boom podcast. My name is Natalie Potts and I'm invested in helping people love what they do in life and business to achieve greatness. Each week, I'll bring you an inspiring personal message to help you in taking action. Thank you for spending time with me today. Now let's go. Why does rejection always hurt? I was doing some research recently in why it is that we get that feeling of pain when we're rejected and the changes in our emotional state and our thoughts that come from being in these situations. So I came across a guy called Guy Winch who did this great podcast and TED Talk sharing about rejection being a really emotional state, and our risk of rejection is usually amplified through things like our social circles or dating, for example, is one idea. These apps that we have where we constantly want to be liked all the time, and if we're not liked, why aren't we being liked? What's wrong with us? What do we put out there that was wrong about our message? What are people thinking about us? Even the fact I build my speed there is like that's the kind of process our brains suddenly go through into this kind of firing of, well, what's this? Why has that happened? What do they think of me? All these thoughts that are hindering thoughts and hold you back. And it's damaging. And all it does is just put you into a place where you just waste energy and time and you get very self-critical. And we've all had this in relationships. We've had it potentially in a job. It feels absolutely paralyzing. If you were to feel it like as an emotion, I often think it makes me quite clammy, like I just want to curl up into a ball. So I've had a bit of time this weekend to really think about, well, why is that? And when are those situations when we respond in that way, and what can we do that's realistic and not woo-wooey and I'll go and do this like everybody does and it sounds amazing, it sounds easy, because if it was that easy it wouldn't be something that we really struggle with. And the interesting part around this is that he was sharing that there is actual science behind this, in that when we are rejected, it is even the smallest rejection that it is actually in our brains, it is the same as physical pain. It's that same experience for us. That's how it's activated in the brain. And they were saying, he was sharing that evolutionary psychologists believe that it started when we were like the hunter-gatherers, and we lived in tribes, and when you wouldn't be able to live on your own, or you'd be ostracized from a tribe as such. It was basically like a death sentence to them, because that's all they knew. And it completely changed the behaviors and the dynamic. And over time, if you were part of that tribe where you were ostracized, you then just continue to pass that down through your genes. So not getting too hooked up on this, but I was just interested to think about, well, actually, it's that pure pain, it's that emotional pain, and the impact that has on our well-being that is not healthy. Rejections, then they damage our mood, our self-esteem. I noticed, actually, I think I went through something the other day where I got a message and I just felt quite rejected by it. And again, like my body shut down, and the person I was with was like, what's up? They just instantly could tell there was a change. And I thought, that's just not okay with me. I don't want it to be that dictates that, because I've taken it away. I've responded it in a way where it actually wasn't meant in that way as well. That's what's really important. I said, well, what do I need to do then? And what can we do to really change how we feel about rejection, and as such, not let it own us? And again, I think it comes back to some of the things that we know we should be doing. But I think one of the ones that's most interesting to me is thinking about actually really soothing the emotional pain and rebuilding our self-esteem. And it's like, well, how do we do that? And even if we do know how, like, why then are we not doing it? What else could we do to build on that each time? And I guess, in a sense, I questioned, we probably need to feel the pain more and be okay to feel that, and be okay to talk that through with people. That helps. Talking, there is, again, this actual science behind, if we talk about what's in our heads and the thoughts we have, we see things very differently and things start to change. We feel better. because we're starting to understand it and dissect it and think about what it means to us in a different way. And it's really powerful. So tempting as it might be, just constantly think about your faults and, you know, what you did wrong as a reaction. It's really actually about being a little bit more objective and saying, what went well from that? What didn't I like, and why didn't I like it? And, you know, thinking things like, I should probably avoid talking to that, you know, my ex on the next time I see them is okay. But thinking I'm such a loser because we're not talking anymore, or they don't like me, or they don't want to see me, that's not okay. That's where it's damaging. So think about what it means to you and self-worth. And the best way that we can boost our self-worth is to be really clear about the value we offer in to us as ourselves and to others too. Connect with people. So building on where I shared my example about I was rejected by somebody and it was a text message this week. It was actually, I thought it was a bit blunt what they said to me, but actually it was more the fact of how I was taking it. They didn't mean it that way. I just chose to take it in and interpret it that way. So I thought about, I need to talk to people about this because it makes it easier for me to understand and then look at my overthinking it. And I'm really key on what I call my small circle. So having trusted advisors around you where you share things and there you have a trust in your relationship for them to share things as well. And sometimes be a bit of the devil's advocate. So they say things like, you know, you're completely overthinking this. Or have you gone back and done X, Y, and Z? And it's like, oh, okay. And just see it in a different way. And I think it's actually a really rational approach. And I think that's important too, in that, again, that's how we choose to respond. And a lot of the time what we'll do is irrational and it's just quick, fiery. It's like that little monkey takes over and we don't allow the brain to really think about the right thing to do without the emotion in it. So think about who those people are and just share the situations and everything, but with no like predicted outcome. It's not you thinking about, well, I think this and that's how it is. Just listen to what they say. And that's really important. A genuine good friend who is a great listener, somebody who's there and wants the best for you too. Write it down as well. Take some time out to journal, and especially if you haven't done it. And again, it's the same talking, like you see things in a different way when you write things down. And I'm currently going through a grief recovery program, which I've spoken about in some ways with some people. And a lot of that has focused on this idea of rejection for me as well. And in my life, where have I been rejected and how have I felt about it? But the main learning from this experience, and it's been incredibly powerful and very different to therapy, because it doesn't almost have like the same, because it's a recovery specialist, it doesn't have the same impetus as thinking therapy, silver bullet, going to get over it, that we can actually position our brains to think with things like that. Or what I do certainly sometimes think, now, you know, if I get for the CBT program, brilliant, I'll be sorted. If only that was to be the case. So this idea of feeling pain and going down that place of just actually like crying. And I've there's a couple of times throughout the last 7 weeks where I've actually just burst into tears. And it's been very, very hard. And I don't mean that in a woe is me or that's really sad or why would you do that? But it's like, I've got to do that. I've got to face into that pain and learn to say, let it go, learn to forgive, learn to apologize, and learn to say that made me feel that way. And I've started to do this with relationships too, in terms of putting in boundaries and saying to people that doesn't work for me right now, or, you know, just creating some clarity on what I expect out of things and on what they can expect out of me. I think it's really important. And it's not something that like we learn about. I'm really focused on this, the idea of younger generations coming through, and I do a lot of mentoring with kids and just getting them to think about understanding their emotions and being able to share things more and do what's right for them. Not from a selfish perspective, of course, but to really think about how do they put themselves first and really become the person that they want to be, and focus on that to help them. To help them to understand as well. Sometimes I don't think we understand ourselves enough, and at an early enough point in our lives. It would be so powerful to really help people have that clarity at a younger age. So rejection destabilizes our need to belong. It leaves us feeling unsettled and just socially despondent to what we really need and where we're at. So think of those people that are around you that you can connect with, and know that this isn't easy, but it's about knowing how to limit the psychological impact it has on us and rebuild your self-worth when this happens each time. So things like taking a time to really think about what it means to you and address it, going and feeling the pain, getting out and connecting with people and nature. Nature is a huge one. I did a lot of work around this back in December, because I was really focused on getting out of a space that I just didn't really have much joy in even thinking about the next day was effort. But I spent a lot of time with nature and walking and I realized it's just because there's no distractions, and that's again the point, that you're focused on controlling your thoughts you have and what you're thinking about, and then that's the point. You get a choice about what you then think about and with the thoughts that you take and what they mean to you. So do some of these things, really face into it. Don't just take it on board and just push it down and not really look into what it means to you, because it will impact and come to life in just different ways. And then that's when we really struggle to be able to deal with things. So it's a journey, it's a process to go through, and it's an interesting one. So I hope that's offered value today. I'd love to know people's thoughts on things, or just to share that it's taken away, or if you'd focused on one thing from that, what would that one thing be to help move you forward? Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and inspired you on your journey. Make sure to share this with a friend and subscribe to the podcast. I really love hearing feedback from you, so leave a review and let me know what part of this episode resonated with you the most. And now it is time to go take action, make a difference, and have a great day.